Sabrina and Breanna Stewart actually talking about the loss, what happened, things like that. People are loving what Sabrina said about Caitlin Clark and just showing love.
I'm so happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
The New York Liberty didn't just take an L, they got outplayed, outclassed, and outgunned. But here's the twist that left fans speechless. Instead of dodging the spotlight, Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart stepped up to the mic and gave Caitlin Clark the crown. No excuses, no sugarcoating. Just raw respect. This wasn't your average post-game presser. It was the moment the WNBA's reigning queens handed the keys to the next in line, and they did it willingly. What happened on that court wasn't just a win. It was a seismic shift in who runs this league, and the craziest part, everyone watching felt it. Sabrina was smiling through the sting. Stewart was nodding after getting torched. Coaches, players, analysts, everyone saw the same thing. Caitlin Clark didn't just come back from injury. She returned with a vengeance and reminded the WNBA exactly who she is. Let's break it all down. From the game to the fallout to the moment the league changed forever. On paper, this matchup looked like a formality. The Liberty came in undefeated, flexing rings and riding high. Indiana, they were limping. 5 games without their superstar, expectations were low. But Caitlin Clark doesn't care about paper. From the moment she checked in, the entire energy shifted. Her presence was electric, her pace relentless, and her shot automatic. She dropped 32 points like it was a practice run, threw out 7 assists with pinpoint accuracy. But more than that, she took over. The Fever didn't just win, they dominated. And they did it against the team everyone expected to steamroll them. This wasn't a fluke. It was a message. On paper, this matchup looked like a formality. The Liberty came in undefeated, flexing rings and riding high. Indiana, they were limping. 5 games without their superstar, expectations were low. But Caitlin Clark doesn't care about paper. From the moment she checked in, the entire energy shifted. Her presence was electric, her pace relentless, and her shot automatic. She dropped 32 points like it was a practice run, threw out 7 assists with pinpoint accuracy. But more than that, she took over. The Fever didn't just win, they dominated. And they did it against the team everyone expected to steamroll them. This wasn't a fluke. It was a message. If you blinked, you missed history. It started with a single step back 3, deep, casual, confident. The kind of shot most players wouldn't even attempt. Caitlin Clark made it look routine. The Liberty were caught flat-footed, but they figured it was a heat check, a one-off. Then she did it again. Same distance, different angle, same result, and before anyone could catch their breath, she hit a third, all within 38 seconds. In that moment, the arena erupted. The crowd wasn't just loud, they were unhinged. Fans were on their feet, jaws on the floor, filming with shaky hands because they knew they were witnessing something absurd. Even the announcers couldn't keep up. You could hear it in their voices, part disbelief, part awe. Social media exploded instantly. Clip after clip of those 3 threes hit timelines like shockwaves. SportsCenter didn't even wait for the full game recap. They ran that moment on repeat. That wasn't just a scoring run. That was a warning, a 38-second sequence that torched defensive schemes, shattered confidence, and reminded the world that Caitlin Clark doesn't need time to warm up. She doesn't ask permission, she arrives. And here's the thing, those threes weren't reckless heaves, they were calculated, fluid, and perfectly timed. She saw the defender sag, recognized the split second of hesitation, and punished it every time. That kind of court vision, that kind of range, that's not normal. That's once in a generation. And when Breanna Stewart, a 2-time MVP, got hit with that final deep bomb and smiled in response, who knew it? That moment said it all. Greatness doesn't sneak up. It kicks the door down. And in those 38 seconds, Caitlin Clark didn't just flip the game, she hijacked the entire narrative. After the final buzzer, Sabrina and Stewie could have taken the easy route. Blame fatigue, blame travel, blame officiating. Instead, they praised. Sabrina didn't dodge. She admitted they gave Clark too many easy looks. She called out Clark's range, her shot speed, her poise. She wasn't being polite. She was being real. And then came the line that hit hardest. "I'm just happy she's healthy again. That's not media training, that's respect." That's one elite shooter recognizing another publicly on a loss. Then there was Stewie after Clark splashed a logo 3 right in her face. What did she do? She smiled, not out of sarcasm, out of respect. Because when greatness hits you square in the chest, all you can do is nod and recognize it. Most teams lose, even the great ones. A cold shooting night here, a bad defensive stretch there. It happens, but what happened to the Liberty wasn't just a tough loss. It was a dismantling. This wasn't about missed shots or bad refs or back-to-backs. This was about being completely, undeniably outplayed from start to finish by a team that was supposed to be rebuilding. The New York Liberty came into this matchup undefeated, dripping in expectations and championship rings. The Indiana Fever, they were supposed to be the fun young squad, the league's feel-good story, not a legitimate threat. But Caitlin Clark didn't just rewrite that script, she tore it up, threw it out, and started a new one. At halftime, the Liberty had already surrendered 53 points. By the end of the game, 102. That's not just poor defense, that's a collapse. And Breanna Stewart said it herself, "It doesn't really seem like we were guarding much." Let that sink in. A 2-time MVP just admitted, publicly, that her elite, title-contending team got run off the floor and did nothing to stop it. What made it even more telling? The complete lack of ego. There was no deflection, no blame shifting. No excuses. Stewart didn't say, "We didn't shoot well." She said, "They executed." "We didn't." Sabrina didn't say, "We had an off night." She said, "We gave." Caitlin to many open looks. Even Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello owned it. She didn't point fingers at the refs. She didn't throw her players under the bus. She flat out said they were more physical. "We didn't adjust," and when coaches at that level say that when they drop the guard and just admit they got beat too, no, this wasn't just about the scoreboard. It was about the message. Because if the Liberty are the gold standard, the blueprint, the future dynasty, then this loss was a thunderclap across the league. The Indiana Fever didn't just win a game. They made the champs question themselves. They didn't just play better. They imposed their will. And at the center of it all, one player just off an injury who took the most hyped team in the league and made them look confused. No moment captured that more than when Clark drilled a logo 3 and Stewart just smiled, not bitter. Not mad. Just stunned. Because sometimes, when someone's that good, all you can do is acknowledge it. This game didn't change the standings. It changed the temperature of the league. There are great scorers, there are elite passers. There are floor generals who control the pace and rhythm of a game, and then there's Caitlin Clark. What she did against the Liberty wasn't just a showcase of individual talent. It was a full-on demonstration of gravity, because when Clark steps on the court, the game warps around her. It starts with her range. Defenders can't sag off, not even a foot. Because if they do, she pull from 35 feet and drain it like it's a free throw, and the moment they step up to challenge, she zips past them like it's nothing. She stretches the defense to its breaking point and then attacks it at the seams. That's why everything feels harder when Caitlin is on the floor. The opposing team's game plan out the window, the rotations delayed. The help defense always a step behind, because everyone's focused on her end. That opens up the floodgates for the rest of her team. It's not just about scoring, it's about manipulating the defense. Every step Clark takes pulls defenders with her. Every screen she uses forces a switch. Every drive collapses the paint. Suddenly, shooters who were ice cold 5 games ago are getting wide open looks because of her. You don't game plan for Caitlin Clark like a normal player. You game plan for her like a system, because that's what she is, a walking offense. Breanna Stewart even said it herself. New York struggled to get into their half-court sets. And it wasn't because their coaching failed, it was because Caitlin Clark controlled the tempo. She speeds up the game, not recklessly but deliberately. The moment she touches the ball, she's pushing, not waiting. Not walking it up like it's 1999. She's forcing the defense to backpedal before they've even crossed half court, and once that rhythm breaks, it doesn't come back. Suddenly, the Liberty weren't playing their usual smart, slow, methodical chess match. They were reacting, chasing, scrambling, and by the time they realized it, the Fever were already up 15. Even Sabrina Ionescu admitted it. We gave her too many easy ones, but here's the truth: every look Caitlin gets feels easy because she makes it that way. She's not just creating shots, she's creating chaos. Controlled, beautiful chaos. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. She scores like a star, assists like a leader, moves like a tactician, and elevates everyone around her in the process, not just through hype or energy but through actual, structural, strategic impact. That's the kind of presence you build a franchise around. That's the kind of player who doesn't just win games, she redefines them. For elite athletes, losing hurts, but what hurts more? Realizing the game might be leaving you behind. Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart didn't just lose to the Indiana Fever, they lost something much bigger. Control, confidence, narrative, identity. These aren't just good players. They're the faces of one of the most stacked teams in the league. MVPs, Olympians, champions. The Liberty were crowned before the season tipped off. Their chemistry, talent, and depth were supposed to be untouchable, but after this game, all of that felt uncertain. You could hear it in their voices at the podium. This wasn't just another post-game presser. This was the sound of two leaders trying to make sense of something that shook them at the core. Sabrina, usually confident and composed, kept circling back to one thing: we gave her too many easy ones. But that wasn't really about missed assignments. It was about a growing realization that their system, one of the most disciplined in the league, was powerless against Caitlin Clark's unpredictability. And Stewart, she's been here before. She's won at every level. And yet, even she admitted they couldn't stay in rhythm. Her words weren't sharp. They were measured, like someone who just witnessed something that forced her to reevaluate what elite really means. She said it best: "It doesn't really seem like we were guarding much, but dig deeper. This isn't just about defensive breakdowns, it's about psychological disruption." Caitlin Clark wasn't just scoring, she was forcing the Liberty to play her game, at her pace, under her conditions. And that's what the very best players do. They don't just show up and compete, they redefine the environment around them. They force you to adapt or collapse, and on this night, the Liberty collapsed. What's wild is how human Stewart and Ionescu looked afterward. Not defensive, not dismissive, just honest. Which in itself is rare at this level. They didn't protect their pride. They surrendered it because what Caitlin did left no room for spin. This game stripped away all the noise, all the preseason hype, all the social media drama. It left one cold, undeniable truth: the Liberty might be the champs, but the league doesn't revolve around them anymore. Not when there's a new gravitational force in town. Clark doesn't just score, she transforms. Her teammates start moving smarter, cutting harder, spacing wider. Suddenly, everyone is hitting open shots they were missing before. Because she pulls defenders like a magnet and drops dimes like a surgeon, and Sabrina noticed. So did Stewie. So did every fan watching. Her 7 assists weren't just passes. They were good punches, momentum killers. The Liberty would close the gap and Clark would hit a dagger 3 or find a cutter for a layup. Over and over and over. This wasn't just a win. This was a chapter break in the WNBA story. When reigning champs admit they got worked in, they do it on camera. You know something's changed. Sabrina said it best: basketball's a game of runs. But this wasn't a run. This was a route. A takeover. Clark isn't just making headlines, she's making believers. And the league knows it. The Fever have beaten the Liberty twice. That's not a coincidence, that's a shift. That's what happens when the face of the league shows up and doesn't flinch. Final reflection: when greatness meets Grace, Sabrina, Stewie, the coach, every one of them took the mic and gave Caitlin Clark her flowers. And that matters, because this league hasn't always been quick to embrace the new kid. But when greatness announces itself that loudly, you don't get to ignore it. You get to adjust. Caitlin Clark didn't ask for validation. She earned it. She didn't talk about being the future. She showed it. She is the shift. And now, the Liberty and the rest of the league know it's a call to action. Let us know in the comments, was that post-game reaction pure class? Or were they just gracefully swallowing the L? Hit like, subscribe, and don't miss what happens next. Because if that's how Caitlin Clark plays after a break,